All right, we're about to dive deep into the core of a philosophical work called Ένα Apeiron Meden, which translates to One Infinite Zero. Now, the author doesn't even call it a book. They call it a deprogramming tool, something built to totally dismantle our deepest assumptions about, well, everything, reality, who we think we are, and the universe itself. To really set the stage, let's start with Albert Einstein. He said that our feeling of being a separate self is an optical delusion of consciousness. And he didn't stop there. He called it a prison that boxes us in, limiting our ability to connect with the world. This delusion is the very thing One Infinite Zero is designed to shatter. And that really brings us to the central question for this entire explainer. If our day-to-day sense of self is the prison, then what's the truth? What's the reality waiting for us just outside those walls if we could only find the key? So first, let's get a good look at the walls of this prison. The whole problem kicks off with this really deep-seated belief that we are separate individuals, living in a world full of other separate things. So what's the key to getting out? Well, the text proposes a single, powerful concept meant to just smash this illusion to pieces. It's called Ένα Apeiron Meden, One Infinite Zero. So what on earth is the One Infinite Zero? The text argues it isn't just a cool name, it's a literal description of the single fundamental reality, the all. It's eternal, existing outside of time, it's infinite, with nothing outside of it to define or limit it, and, this is the crucial part, its total sum is zero, a state of perfect, absolute, motionless balance. Now, to get our heads around this, the text puts the ultimate reality, the one, right up against our perceived reality, the many. So the one is infinite. It has no boundaries, no limits. But the world we actually experience, the many, is completely finite. Every single person, every object, every event, it has a start and it has an end. Okay, next, let's think about time. The one is eternal. Time itself is something that happens inside of it. But the many? That's us. Everything we see, we're temporary. We only exist within that flow of time, always coming and going. And finally, let's look at their state of being. The one is totally unchanging and whole. It's a single, indivisible thing. The many, on the other hand, is a world of constant change, constant flux, and it appears totally divided and fragmented. And here's the real kicker. This fragmented world we see is just a temporary experience happening inside that one single unchanging reality. But that begs a huge question, right? If reality is fundamentally one big thing, how in the world do we get the many? How does this incredibly complex, vibrant world just appear out of a single unified whole? Well, the text walks us through this fascinating progression. It all starts with the monad. That's the pure, undivided one. Then, from that comes the dyad. This is the very first split, the first division that creates opposition, like light and dark. Then the triad is the relationship between those opposites, the tension that actually drives creation. And finally, the tetrad is the result of all that, the stable, structured, physical world we can see and touch. It's really a journey from pure unity to complex form. The ancient philosopher Heraclitus just nailed this idea perfectly. Multiplicity and unity, they aren't actually opposites. They're two sides of the very same process. All things are born from the one, which means the one can be found within all things. That concept of the dyad is probably the most important step in this whole process. Think of it like the very first cut made inside the otherwise unified one. This one division creates pairs of opposites, light and dark, positive and negative, and they can only exist because they define each other. And that tension, that push and pull between them, that becomes the engine for all change and all of creation. And here is where things get really startling, because this ancient philosophy, this idea of a balanced, dualistic creation, it sounds surprisingly similar to some theories from the absolute cutting edge of modern physics. So, take this really famous quote from Heraclitus. The book argues that when he says war, he's not talking about human violence. He's talking about the necessary cosmic conflict of opposites, that tension of the dyad. It's this fundamental struggle between opposing forces that creates all the different structures and distinctions in our reality. Now, compare that ancient idea of cosmic conflict to the modern zero-energy universe theory. It suggests that the entire universe could have literally popped into existence from nothing because its total energy adds up to exactly zero. All the positive energy from matter and radiation is perfectly, and I mean perfectly, balanced by the negative energy of gravity. Creation from a perfectly balanced zero. This idea of a creative nothingness, it's not just in physics. The Sufi mystic Rumi pointed to the exact same truth, that if you embrace the void, the zero, that's the path to becoming everything. It's about realizing that the foundation of all existence is this perfect, balanced potential. And get this, modern physics actually sees this principle in action at the tiniest scales imaginable. At the quantum level, the void isn't empty at all. It's this fizzing, bubbling sea of potential where pairs of particles and their opposites, antiparticles, are constantly popping into existence from nothing and then immediately wiping each other out. Always maintaining that perfect zero balance. So just look at the pattern here. You've got Heraclitus's idea of a cosmic conflict, and it perfectly mirrors the zero energy balance in physics. You've got the Neoplatonists talking about the one unfolding into the many, which sounds a heck of a lot like quantum field theory. You have Sufi mystics and quantum physicists both describing a reality that emerges from a balanced nothing. I mean, across thousands of years and totally different disciplines, the underlying idea is just astonishingly similar. So what's the point of all this? Is it just some cool intellectual puzzle? According to One Infinite Zero, absolutely not. The real goal is to use this knowledge to fundamentally change our consciousness and to walk what it calls the path of return to unity. This path of return just reframes everything we think we know. Karma is no longer some kind of cosmic payback. It's just the one experiencing itself through the illusion of cause and effect. The goal isn't to escape the physical world, but to see it for what it is, a kind of veil, and to remember the unity that's always behind it. The journey isn't a physical one, it's a massive shift in how you perceive everything. This quote just reveals the profound ethical heart of this whole worldview. If the universe truly is a single entity with everything bound by invisible strings, then compassion isn't just a nice idea. It's a logical consequence of how reality works. Harming someone else is, in a very, very real sense, harming yourself. So whether we look at this through the lens of ancient mystics or modern-day physics, the path that One Infinite Zero describes always leads back here, to a single, profound, inescapable reality, one. And all of this leaves us with one last big question. If separation is the illusion, that optical delusion of consciousness, then who or what is the you that has been listening to all of this?